everyone, this is Pico Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and this will be a review of Avatar The Last Airbender. Released on streaming on Thursday the 22nd of February 2024, this Netflix production is the latest adaptation of the famous American animated series created back in 2005 by Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, and it was produced by Nickelodeon Studios. Running for 3 seasons and 61 episodes from 2005 to 2008, it tells the fantasy world consisting of 4 nations: the Water Tribes, the Fire Nation, the Earth Kingdom, and the Air Nomads. And certain people from each nation have the ability to manipulate each of the surfaces: fire, earth, wind, and water. Throughout the centuries, there's been a being known as the Avatar, who has the ability to manipulate all 4 surfaces, and their role is to maintain peace throughout the land. The Avatar within the story here is known as Aang, who originally flees his home after a storm and is encased in frozen ice. 100 years later, he is found by 2 members of the Water Tribe, Katara and Sokka, and the trio travel the land having various adventures as Aang learns to master his overall abilities as the Avatar. They are constantly pursued by the Fire Nation, who want to conquer all of the kingdoms, and they see the Avatar as the biggest obstacle in their overall aspirations. Now, the Netflix series pretty much follows this outline all the way, as we follow Aang and his friends coming across several allies and enemies. Whilst we see Aang's journey to unlock his full potential as the Avatar, we also focus on Prince Zuko, the young prince of the Fire Nation, who was scarred and banished by his father, the king of the Fire Nation. Zuko strives to find the Avatar in order to restore his place within the Fire Nation and regain his father's approval. We later see Katara also look to discover her powers as a waterbender, and various battles are won and lost along the way, culminating in an epic last stand as the heroes look to protect the Water Tribe from the assault of the Fire Nation. Now, whilst there was initial skepticism when this series was announced, following the much derided live-action movie from M. Night Shyamalan in 2010, which I will still maintain was not the massive abomination that many people have deemed it to be, many people felt that this later series would be yet another failed live-action adaptation from Netflix, as we have seen previous examples of where they've tried to adapt popular animation or anime series with not very good results. Now, recently there was a bit more of a renewed optimism following Netflix's adaptation of the One Piece manga, which gained a lot of positive acclaim and reception. So when we follow this series, we ask as to whether this iteration of the show continues the upward trend in terms of adapting animation series, or is it yet another misfire? Well, overall it's probably somewhere in the middle. It's not terrible by any means, but it's nothing truly amazing or spectacular. Overall, it's a passable, very functional adaptation, a very decent effort that definitely takes the source material seriously with a sizable budget and production. And yes, I'd say it's definitely an improvement over the 2010 film. We certainly get plenty of large-scale action and set pieces, with most of the effects being very satisfactory and visually striking. Narratively, the series is mainly standalone stories, and I think it's very accessible easily for anybody who hasn't had any previous experience from the franchise to get into and understand. There really isn't anything here that I had a strong dislike for. In terms of the character building, I think a good enough time is spent trying to see Aang accept his role as the Avatar. He's not the ultra powerful hero from the start, nor is he the wimpy, whiny protagonist that we see so often in modern day adaptations and series. Whilst he has his various struggles, he's overall a positive protagonist, and I think that overall makes him appealing as a character. Now, as with the original animated series, the more compelling story is with the Fire Nation. The constant conflict within Prince Zuko, which can be inconsistent at times, overall still makes him a very interesting character. I also liked his dynamic with his uncle Iroh, who is much more of the mentor within this story, and we do get plenty of time to really see how their bond and relationship develops, and overall I think he was a good supporting presence. Actor Daniel Dae Kim comes with a real authority and stature as the Fire Lord Asai. Now, he's not the dominant presence throughout this series as much, but I'll assume he'll be far more involved in any potential future seasons. And again, all of the flashback scenes that we have with him and Prince Zuko are amongst the strongest without the series. And overall, all of the other performances were adequate enough. Now, in terms of the actual issues that I had, it was mainly with the pacing and storytelling. A lot of the time the series is rushed in terms of the events, especially when we look at the first episode, which really races through a lot in terms of the origin of Aang and meeting up with Katana and Sokka, and also building up all of the mythology regarding the Fire Nations and the other tribes. Coming in over an hour long, it almost felt like a mini movie. Very frantic and action packed, but there were times where it needed to settle down and really concentrate more on the story and the characters. And whilst this series isn't slow moving, you're not really engaged when things happen. Many of events take place, but there's nothing really here that stands out. We get plenty of effects and explosions and battle sequences, but they just happen on screen. There's no real setup, there's no real development of the certain action sequences that we're seeing. I also felt that there was too much soundtrack playing throughout these sequences, again, not really giving you any time to really digest what was going on. And whilst I wasn't bored with this series, I did find my attention wavering at times, as I don't think the standalone stories were compelling enough. This is one of those shows that you can just play on throughout the background as you do other things. You won't really get lost if you miss 1 or 2 episodes. You watch the first one and you could easily skip forward 3 or 4 other episodes and you'll be no worse off in terms of the actual plot. And when you compare to the 2010 movie, this really feels like an extended cut that's been stretched out over long episodes, with each one being around 50 to 100 minutes long, and I really think this was unnecessary. The story really could have been condensed down into smaller installments, and I actually think because of the longer runtime, you would actually lose interest in the story if you try to binge this all at once. Definitely a weekly release would have been far beneficial. And when you consider the amount of runtime for each episode and where they arrive at the end of the series, they really could have progressed a lot further with the source material. Now as we head towards the finale itself, it does become a bit more compelling as Commander Sal really becomes more the main villain of the story. We concentrate a lot more, as I mentioned previously, on the backstory between Prince Zuko and his father. We see Princess Azula become far more influential as per the source material. And I would love to see a further expansion into the Fire Nation for any potential season 2, where we really delve much more into the politics, all of the government position and power, as we see the Fire Nation continue to rule over the various kingdoms. Now as the finale episode itself, it had plenty of spectacle, which was all fine. It was certainly satisfactory enough, but again, nothing truly captivated you here, even as we see Aang fully embraced within the ocean spirit. It just feels functionary. It doesn't really feel truly awe-inspiring. And that's probably the best way to sum up this entire series, as production and an adaptation is perfectly serviceable, staying true to the source material, and I'm very glad to say there's no race swapping or gender switching or diversity baiting here, which like the One Piece series is very much refreshing and much of a relief. There's definitely nothing here that can spout off any narrative of outrage or drama. I really felt that they were respectful to the source material. And in comparison to the One Piece series, which I still think was probably superior, I think that show had much more stronger characterization, as a lot of the characters in Avatar feel very one note and kind of soft in terms of their development. We had far less of those nuanced character beats, and I think One Piece certainly developed its flashback stories a lot stronger, even though Avatar admittedly has the better effects and production. But overall, this is a very standard, average, non-offensive adaptation. Definitely some work needs to be done on the pacing and storytelling, and I really think the episodes could benefit from a shorter runtime, but overall in terms of a live action adaptation, it's definitely a decent effort, definitely with some room for improvement, and if it can do that, I can definitely envisage a much stronger second season of the show. So there's my overall thoughts and feelings and review of Avatar The Last Airbender. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you have any other further topics or movies or television series that you'd like to see me review in the future, then also let me know in the comments, and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.